Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Let's take tech in the right direction to drive social change and close the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. This podcast is focused on helping turn ideas into action to create opportunities for women to advance in the dynamic technology industry. I hope this podcast will inspire and motivate you to encourage more women and girls to seek or grow a career as a woman in technology. Stories about the journey of amazing women in this tech field starts right now.
Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Today I will be speaking with Alicia Baldino. Alicia got the opportunity to work remotely 5 years ago, and that was the best gift. She took the opportunity to travel, learn, and move across the country, all because she was able to work remotely and still make an income. She dreamed of giving that same opportunity to others. Alicia says that with the internet, we are so lucky and we have the world at our fingertips. I believe people can and should have the option to work from wherever, whenever, as long as they do good work and get the work done. Alicia started a community of remote workers, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs to connect with others who were also trying to make it on their own. That is called the virtual hustle. She has since started a virtual marketing company, Brandmetix, where everyone on her team works remote: graphic designers, website designers, social media managers, and an invoicing team. Brandmetix is a creative marketing company that focuses on branded products, strategy, and showing off your brand in the online world. She is building the team so she can give more people the opportunity to work remotely and live a great life. Welcome to the show, Alicia. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm very happy to be here too. Thank you.
So let's get started. Can you share with us your career journey and the process or the steps that got you where you are today?
Absolutely. Yes. So I am a year and a half into my official marketing business called Brandmetix. I've got years and years of experience working as a independent contractor, freelancer, virtual marketing director. But as far as my legitimate business goes, it's a year and a half old. And I wore so many hats in my previous years of working, and that I really wanted to just start something on my own. And Brandmetix is a creative marketing and promotional products, branding solutions, creative strategy company that I work with companies all across the country in all different industries. And it's really been just so much fun. I love I'm very creative. I've always been very creative, and I always had the ambition of starting something on my own and growing it to having a big team eventually, although I'm not there now. That's where I'm at with the business today.
That's great. I'm sure you'll get there very soon. It started with your passion for remote work. So tell us how that got started, and then you really had a dream to take this to the next level and made your dream come true. So can you share some of that story with us?
Absolutely. One of my favorite talking points is remote work. And, I was given the opportunity to work remotely about 5 years ago. I was living on the East Coast. I'm from New York, and I worked at a marketing agency right outside of college. My major was marketing, and I've always been very creative, like I explained, and I loved working at that company, but I was just ready to move. I wanted to travel. I felt, kind of stuck in my current situation. I didn't really love where I was living, though I loved the job. I pretty much gave in my 2 weeks, and my boss at the time was like, "We want to keep you on. We're gonna allow you and set you up to work remote." And at that time, 5 years ago, it was a lot less common. And for the people who were able to figure it out then are in a much better situation than they are now with everything going on and all businesses requiring their employees to work remotely. But I kind of knew then that I have this great opportunity to work from wherever I want and take the work into my own hands and figure out the schedule that works best for me and the really the life that I want to live and while still being able to work. So that's kind of where my passion for remote work started. And I was just so grateful to have that opportunity given to me by the boss at the time.
That's great. So, our company, my company, Directions, has been remote for right around 5, maybe 5.5 years. And you're right. At that time, it was just not even heard of as, obviously COVID has changed our world. But it has really afforded people to have a better work-life balance. Plus, the reason I did it 6 years ago or so is because I wanted the country to be my customer, not just Chicago as our geography. And it really opened up not only so much more to customers, but also to employees. So now we employ employees all over the country, which is very cool. Very cool.
That's very cool. Yeah. That's smart of you to be able to figure that out 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was hard for me too. If I remember back, my employees really taught me a lot about remote work because the people who are going to work will work from anywhere, and the people who are not going to work, even if they're in the office, are not going to work. They're going to hide behind the cubicle.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more.
So I've learned a lot of best practices and learned a lot about people, doing this. And really, there's a trust factor that always comes with it. But the team that we have is just phenomenal. And then we use a lot of tools that we can also talk about to stay connected.
Yeah.
So give us some best practices and ways to excel when you're not in the office or working remotely. Because with COVID, we're finding more and more companies are working from home, and they're even delaying people coming back into the office. So anything our listeners can get on some best practices and really excelling in your work and being productive.
Yes, exactly. Because that's the whole point too. You want to be able to be as productive or more productive if possible while you're working from home. And for some people with COVID going on, it was a huge drastic change. So when I talk to people who are new to working from home, even for people who have been doing it a few years, there's always going to be, changes that you can make to be more productive, have a better work-life balance. And I always give the few tips of number one being having a good routine. I'm very big on routines. I'm naturally not a super organized and disciplined person, so it's something that I have to work at every single day. I think a morning routine, especially when you work from home, is the most important thing that you could do. I think the first hour or two of your day is extremely important, and everyone's morning routine could be different, but I think the first 2 hours of your day, if you can get non-work things done and not jump right onto your laptop or open your laptop in bed, I'm not for that. I think having a morning of, getting a little exercise in, drinking your water, taking your vitamins, having a healthy meal, handling whatever you have to do with your kids or your dog or anything within those 2 hours would be the time to do it. And then the time that you're going to jump into work. Unless you have, if you have to be logging in for something earlier, then you need to wake up earlier. So I'm all about having an hour or two in the morning to have a good routine. And then another big tip would be to have a designated workspace, especially for people who aren't normally working from home. Maybe they don't have a home office. Just try to get a corner and, spend the weekend, take a corner in your house and set it up with clean, no clutter. And so it's when you get into that desk or that corner, you're in work mode. You're not in mom mode. You're not in, I'm going to go do my laundry now. It's like you're home. But if you're in this little corner, that's when you work. And that's when your kind of mind switches from play to work time.
That's great. Those are great tips, and we really follow both of those things. diligently to be most productive in our company as well. The morning routine, I think, is so important. It really gets you in the mindset for the day. And I don't even know that I could work in with my laptop on the bed. Doesn't happen.
No, I know, no, definitely not.
Yeah. So you said designated workspace, clean, no clutter. I love that. So how do you ensure that you don't have distractions? Because you mentioned laundry, and I know there are people who are distracted when they're working from home constantly, either doing dinner or laundry or whatever. What are some of the practices that you use to not get distracted and stay focused on your tasks that need to be completed?
I think the biggest one would be time blocking. Time blocking is basically, it could be with your cube or with your timer on your phone, basically determining what tasks you have to do that day. And maybe it's something that's going to take an hour, or maybe it should only take you 15 minutes. And whatever you think it should take you, set your timer for that amount of time. And that has totally changed the game for me. I think in the morning I write down my top 10 things that need to get done for that day. And sometimes it's not even 10. Sometimes it's two really time consuming, things that require a lot of focus. And I'll set my alarm for 2 hours, put my phone on airplane mode, and really just hone in and get it done, because you're not going to be able to go do your laundry or start dinner or pick your kids up if until you get those things done. So I think time blocking has been one of the greatest, the most beneficial things for me in not getting distracted.
I love that. And I think that's really, really good advice because, I tell my team all the time because they'll be like, we were so busy and we had to do all of these tasks, but then they don't do the strategic planning or, the planning, because that always falls to the side because they're getting the work done. And I said, if you can time block that, even if it's an hour, 30 minutes, whatever, you need to block it on your calendar and then do it. And if you don't do it, snooze it just for a little bit so you can come back to it,
Definitely.
But time blocking is really, really great. I know you have a remote team that you work with. How do you keep them motivated, focused, and accountable?
I try to just keep them knowing exactly what I do to stay motivated, focused, and accountable. Like a lot of the things we talked about, time blocking, and the people I work with are already set up working remotely. So if I were to, hire somebody on or take on another a virtual assistant or another independent contractor freelancer with a certain skill set, I would, already be looking for people who know how to work from home, number one, but to keep them motivated, I think it's just important to stay in contact and, kind of keep giving them incentives. And yeah, I would just say staying in contact with the internet. It's extremely easy to do that now with all of the apps to stay in touch via chat or, all of those things. So I think that's the biggest one. Yeah.
Communication. Yeah, we use Teams and Microsoft Teams, and there's always a status that shows you what people are doing. So either they're at lunch, and we always encourage updating the status. And then if they're in a call, or if they're in a meeting, or if they're busy, they're working on a project, whatever, we're always able to see what the status of that person is. In fact, sometimes you can even tag a person to make sure that they get off the phone and you can contact them. So I have many employees like just waiting for me to finish the phone call and then jump on a call with me, so they have really good timing. So yeah, communication is so important. And, in most companies, you can't hide if people are communicating. So you automatically become accountable. So that's great. Now, you also started a remote community. So tell us about that. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and that I started when I got the opportunity to work remote. And I kind of knew that this was just going to be my little side, community of other people going through similar challenges and similar things that other remote workers are going through. So I always thought that was going to be kind of my side project while my real business grew. And with my real business, I wanted to employ people who worked remotely. So that was kind of how I saw leading into the future how they would blend together. That community is called the Virtual Hustle, all about remote work, how to successfully work remotely, how to get more work when you're working remotely or as a freelancer, independent contractor. We have a lot of people who are virtual assistants, things like that. And the community was started because I just wanted to connect these people and I wanted to share my journey of traveling and working from wherever as long as I got my work done. And at the time when I started it, I was an employee. So I understood that you still had to be working at a certain time every single day. And it was just cool to connect with other people who were doing the same thing because it wasn't, like we said, it wasn't that common back then. So now what it is still that, but there are more people who work remote, more people who find the community of the virtual hustle helpful, because we could just bounce ideas off of each other. We come up with little challenges. The podcast, the Virtual Hustle podcast, has been, it started 3 months ago. I started it, and it's just been so great to connect with different people, and talk about just really best practices working remotely, how to use the internet to scale your business, how to get more business with, on the online world. So it's really all about just being able to live a good life thanks to the internet.
That's awesome. Great job. Congratulations on that. So, do you meet monthly in this community? Everything's done through bulletin boards. How does that work?
So we don't actually meet in any, there's no plan to meet at a certain time at this point, but we are in a Facebook group together. We correspond. I correspond a lot with the people in the group via Instagram. And I have a lot of them on the podcast, and I feature a lot of them, and we kind of just work together and try to. I like to give people a presence in front of people who may need their services. So I have a few graphic designers that I work with personally, and even ones I don't work with, I would like to put up there, feature them, and maybe somebody else in the group would be able to use their services. They like their style. So that's kind of how I see it all blending together. But yeah, I think we're going to spend a lot more time in the Facebook group, really building that community and hopefully meeting on a regular basis.
That's great. Well, I'd love to join your community and do what I can do to help. And I'm looking forward also to being on your podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm excited to talk more with you too about your business and
Sure.
yeah.
Great. So tell us more. I know you started to touch on Brandmetix, and so you're a digital marketing company, I'm guessing. So tell us more about how you serve your customers, what you do for them, because listeners might need some of your services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Brandmetix started initially because I was a virtual assistant and virtual marketing director for this company. Like I said, when they gave me the opportunity to work remote, it was for a branding products company. So it's something I already knew a lot about, branded products, how to make really great branded and exactly on brand with the company. There are products that go for an event or for a trade show or for giveaways or to resell. So that's how I kind of got interested in it, but I didn't really see how much I loved it until I got into working with, so I started working with companies in their digital marketing. And I'm like, I really saw the connection that a great branded product could really also enhance their digital presence, because in order to have really great images, you have to have really great products. And even if your business isn't a product, but if you have a great saying or a great graphic on a t-shirt, and it's just an easier way to spread your brand. So with my customers, I am doing a lot of digital marketing. Like we do a lot of email marketing campaigns. We do social media, but we focus really at the core on making the connection between on and offline branding. So a lot of branded essentials for either your employees or for giveaways on Instagram. We do a lot of to gain traction and gain audience. So it's really a blend of all of it, which is a little bit more unique compared to a lot of the digital agencies out there. Obviously, we do handle those things. I have somebody who runs social media for some accounts, and I do some of my own. And the main thing really is just making that connection, like I said. So branded products, making them very unique, and it's not just like putting our logo on a pen and calling it a day. We really come up with a whole campaign strategy.
I really like that the blend of, digital as well as physical, I guess, products and items that, kind of really promote your brand because when you're going to events and you're going to meet customers, because we still have that physical component, you
Mm-hmm.
need something there, but then, how you present yourself online is also very important. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're blending the um, two together, which is really, really great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
So,
important. It's
yeah.
important for people to know, even when you work remote, it's still extremely important to have a real connection with somebody. And I've worked with people remote only, and I feel, it's been years now, and we know each other so well, and I've never even met them. So it's really,
Hmm.
I mean, it'd be great to just bring more of the personal aspect into it. It's not just computer screen to computer screen.
You need the relationship. I think all
Exactly.
business is done with good relationships, and it's
Hmm.
so important. Now, just a silly question because of the times that we're in. Are you doing face masks as part of branding?
Oh, yes. And,
Okay.
we've come up with some really great uh, concepts and some real, we work with a lot of larger companies that just want their logo on them. And so we are doing a ton of different face masks. I have a few golf tournaments that I help with their marketing every year, and we did face masks for them too.
Oh,
And,
cool.
it makes it so it's not so bad to wear a face mask.
Right, right. Just make it trendy, make it fun, make it,
Yeah,
and we're seeing a
exactly.
lot of that. So that's
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That's great. It's a nice boost to your business as well, something different
Oh,
during
yeah.
the tough
During
time.
this time,
Yeah.
exactly. A lot of the events that I was working on, a lot of large conventions were canceled, and a lot of my customers were obviously not attending, and no need for the items for the events that they were hosting. So it was it got a little interesting, but yeah, masks definitely took off.
Nice.
Gotta pivot.
Yep, yep, you got to do that. So here's the $1,000,000 question. Work-life balance. I'm really bad at it. I know it's a very difficult thing to do. So how are you at it? And if you have any best practices that you can share with our listeners, I think they would love that.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was a great work-life balance person also, but it is something I work at very often. So I think a big thing is knowing. I had a podcast interview with a girl who is all about setting boundaries, and that really is what it is.
Hmm.
Setting boundaries with yourself, at 5 o'clock or with your family, even have it so that after 5 o'clock for at least 2 hours, you're not going to look at a work email or your phone for work or anything. So I really think it's just about the boundaries. And, same thing going back to the morning routine. Do not get started until 8 o'clock or 7:30 or 9, even whatever that may be. I think that will help because then between 9 and 5 is when I'm working, and then before that and after that, I really, really shouldn't be. And obviously, there are times where if you get a call and something's super important and you have to take it, you have to take it. But I think that knowing your boundaries, knowing when you're going to start and when you're going to stop working is really important, especially when you work remotely.
I think that's great. Yeah, setting boundaries. I'm obviously not very good at that, but you've got to do it and you've got to stick with it because, too much screen time is not good. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding that this whole Zoom fatigue or video fatigue it's real. By
Mm-hmm.
the time I get done with my day, I am so exhausted because every meeting's a video meeting now because we don't get to see each other and we're trying
Mm-hmm.
to bring that personal connection. So very true. Set boundaries, and obviously you can still set boundaries and get your job done, but you need to hold to them. And if you set your boundaries, others will respect it as well. But if you don't set them, then you can't blame them for
Mm-hmm.
calling you, at 8 o'clock at night.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
so true. Well, this has been so great, Alicia. I just, in closing, I'd like you to provide your thoughts, any advice that you could give to a woman considering a career in either tech industry or using tech in their career any kind of advice to get them motivated to and inspired to move into this area, because I think the tech industry is amazing, and for women it can be even more amazing. So what thoughts or advice would you give?
Yeah, I've got a few things. I think number one would be find what truly interests you at the core. It doesn't necessarily, I think people might hear tech and think, oh, I don't know how to do, I'm not even that tech savvy, but here I am, been a remote worker for years, having a podcast, I have a blog, I have a website and a remote business. And, it's really whatever interests you at the core, and then take full advantage of the internet. We are so lucky that we have the internet. Everything is at our fingertips. We even have mentors that we could seek out and really have from afar. I mean, between podcasts and blogging and YouTube, it's like you can have people in the industry that you want to, or the industry that you're in and you want to excel at. You can listen to all of their content, digest all of their content at any given moment. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to figure out what truly interests you, finding your why, like people like to say, and just seek it out. Seek out the content that you want to learn from.
That's great. Yeah, just like you, when you worked remotely, you realized that was your passion. It just really hit you, and then you did something with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being on my show. I know our listeners would truly, truly enjoy listening to you and your journey. So what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can get a hold of me on my Instagram. My Instagram is just Alicia Baldino, Alicia Baldino, Baldino. And then the Virtual Hustle community, which I think a lot of people would be interested in, is just The Virtual Hustle on Instagram. And the website is thevirtualhustle.co. And the podcast, which is The Virtual Hustle. So it's all kind of in sync with that. And then Brandmetix, which is the marketing company, if anyone needs any branded solutions, is at Brandmetix on Instagram, or you can just contact me at alicia@brandmetix.com.
Great. We will put all of those in the notes of the podcast as well, so people can get a hold of you, maybe join your virtual community, but definitely look at some of your offerings in case they need digital marketing or promotional products. So thank you again, Alicia. I'm so excited to have you on the show, and I hope to have you again soon.
Thank you so much. It was great being here and great talking to you.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
As your organization continues to embrace and adopt new technologies, does your team have the skills required to make the most of your investments? Directions Training offers IT professional and end-user training for the most popular solutions today, including Microsoft 365, Azure, AWS, Cisco, Citrix, VMware, and much more. Our flexible delivery methods and full customized offerings make sure that you get the training you need just the way you need it. In person, virtual, on demand, or through a blended approach. Success is a journey. Ask for directions. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com for more information today. From IT skill enhancements to end-user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions, covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.